Well, hi everyone and welcome to TOOP TV. Well, the Real Estate Institute Awards of Australia are on tomorrow and TOOP are up for a couple of awards, so we're wishing everyone all the very best with them. Today on the show we're travelling far and wide. We take a look at Victor Harbour and see why it's an ideal spot for living or holidaying in our Suburb Insider with Marlisa. And in SA's Finest we're featuring two properties with some wow factor, one at Glenelg and the other in Fitzroy. And of course we're live and interactive. We'll be answering your questions at the end of the show, so don't forget, send them in via email or on the phone. Well, interesting things happening in the market at the moment, and we'll take a look at some of those aspects in a few moments' time. Today we're having our monthly update on the rental market and of course our inside story on the buyer's market.
You could be forgiven for taking a little longer to get through the Saturday's Advertiser real estate section lately, with a high influx of homes coming onto the market. Last weekend alone, there were 2,461 open homes, and over the past few weeks, the number of properties going to auction has been steadily rising. This has seen buyers take control of the market.
There's a lot around, but probably the higher end ones aren't selling, I don't think. Buyers are getting a bit, fussy. Put it down a few thousand or a few 100,000 and things like that. Well, that's the trouble we're having with selling.
I think there's lots of opportunities for buyers, but there's I think some people are getting reasonable money for well-presented properties, but lots for buyers out there at the moment. So I guess it's a buyer's market. Choice is one of those things where you can hinder what the vendors actually really want for their property. I think they've just got to be smart and understand what the market's telling them, and try and meet the market if they really want to sell their house.
Those who are thinking of selling have been scared off by this trend, as vendors are taking longer than usual to put their house on the market after having an appraisal carried out. So to make sense of this peculiar time in real estate, we'll now be crossing to our industry insiders to get their take on buying and selling property.
Well, some interesting stuff there. Now let's drill down a little bit on that and take a little bit of advice from some of our experts in the field. First up, from our Stirling office, Arabella Cooper. Firstly, Arabella, what are the challenges that the buyers are facing at present?
Tim, the buyers I don't think have any challenges at the moment. Their only challenge is trying to work out which house they're going to look at, because they've probably got the choice of about 500 in the hills to go and look at the moment.
Well, there you go. I guess following on from that, what are the problems that the sellers are encountering more importantly?
Sellers are quite challenged at the moment. The market is heavily saturated and we're seeing a huge stockpile on the market. Numbers that opens are very low, and so what we're seeing now is that we're probably experiencing a very tightened market where prices are now having to be realigned. Some are coming down, some are priced right from the start and they'll sell straight away, but the stuff that's not right from the start will sit for extended periods of time until that price comes down.
So Arabella, have you had any standout results in the last couple of weeks?
I had a great result on Friday. I took a property over from another agent that had been on the market for 18 months, put it into an auction campaign, had 2 registered bidders and sold it on Friday.
So on the back of that, do you think people should be selling at auction right now?
I think that auction is an exceptional tool for selling property at the moment, because it's the truest indication of market worth, provided that there's limited price indications to the market, will allow you to get the right market feedback to then sell the property.
Well, thanks for that, Arabella. Now we might fly down to Jackie Opie at our Glenelg office. And Jackie, how are you finding that the sellers are going through a bit of a rough patch at the moment?
Yeah, Tim, some of the challenges that we're seeing for sellers at the moment is really being able to meet the market at the right place at the right time. And that really does refer back to the pricing, making sure that the price of the property is in line with what the buyers are thinking. One of the other challenges for sellers at the moment is whether they accept offers on properties that are not unconditional, for example, subject to finance or sale of their property. That is one of the biggest challenges we're seeing for sellers at the moment.
Okay, and now that summer is over, how do you think the Glenelg market is going to fare over the next few months?
Well, Glenelg area, I think, we've got a great area as far as high demand goes, so there's always people buying in and around that area. Coming into the winter months, I think it's going to be a little bit tougher being along the coast, but certainly we're hoping that we'll still see a good number of good properties coming on the market.
Well, thanks, Jackie. Now let's go over to Lou TOOP at our Hyde Park office. Lou joins me. Lou, what do you think the buyers' challenges that they're facing at the moment are?
Oh, hi, Tim. Well, for buyers, what we're finding is they're out there looking and they're being told by the media that it's a buyer's market and stuff like that. But my warning to them is don't miss out on some of these properties, because we're finding they are selling, and people who are ready to go and ready to get in and put offers in should be encouraged to do so they don't miss out.
Okay, so what are you finding is going on in your area of the market right at the moment?
Well, I mean, obviously we work in the Hyde Park area, but generally I'm finding that there's lots of appraisals happening at the moment, lots of requests for people to, for us to come in and talk to them about their homes. There's an urgency, obviously, with Easter coming up, that there's really now a very short space of time between now and Easter to get the properties in the market and sell them. But I think we're also talking to people who are looking at, what do we need to do to get our house ready for sale and stuff like that. So it's a really busy time.
Yeah, so I guess some positive spin now for the moment. Any good success stories just recently?
Well, certainly this month I've found a couple of instances where we've been talking to the vendors just prior to the auction that things are a little bit quiet and we're not sure who's coming on, who's not going to, whether they're going to do something or not. And we've had 2 instances where people have come along, they're motivated buyers, they've registered and they've actually bought the property on the day. Now that's something that doesn't always happen, we can't make it happen, but as vendors, people need to understand that is a reality, it does happen, and so you need to continue down the auction path. As we say, it's a good way of flushing people out, flushing those buyers out.
Thanks for that, Lou. Now let's fly over to Kay in our Norwood office. Kay, what's your take on how the sellers are faring at the moment?
For sellers, there's a lot of property on the market. There is a saturation. It's most probably the highest number of properties that I've seen on the market in an autumn period for the time that I've been in real estate, and I've been in real estate since 1986, so it's a very long time. So last weekend there was close to 2,500 properties on the market. So with that level, it's really, really important for sellers, if they're serious about selling their prices, to be realistic in terms of the marketing price, so that the buyers will put in offers. If they see that the property is priced well, then offers do occur. It's also really important for sellers to have a really good company behind them, like TOOP+TOOP, with a lot of experienced salespeople, very good salespeople who are really experienced in negotiation, so that putting the sellers and the buyers together it will happen with that experience, and also with that power of a really great company behind it.
Certainly. Well, I suppose one of the big challenges that the buyers are facing at the moment is just getting their finance in order. How are you finding dealing with the banks at the moment?
Finance, yeah, that's an interesting one. The banks are making it very, very difficult for purchasers. I've had one contract recently fall over because of finance, and we had actually extended the finance clause by a week. That was only last week. I was very, very fortunate that when I recontacted some of the interested parties, that I was able to put it together only last night. So finance is difficult. The finance clauses are very, very long, so often 4 to 5 weeks until we get the finance approval. I've had another contract that I've signed recently that we've actually extended that one by a week, but we're hoping that that will all happen. So the banks are proving quite tardy in terms of putting their finance together. Often they'll only put the valuers through a day before the finance clauses are due, which makes it very, very difficult to get the unconditional approval through.
Excellent. All right. Well, look, thanks for that, Kay, and thanks also to Arabella, Jackie and to Lou. I guess the wrap on all of that from a number of our different offices is, number one, as a seller intending putting your property on the market, I think it's really important to drill down deep into getting your price right. Obviously, agent selection and all that sort of thing is very important, but getting your price right in this market is incredibly important. If you're taking your property to auction, as Lou mentioned, a couple of instances where on the very, very last day and last moments before the auction's about to start, you may think you're not going to have anyone there to bid. He's had a couple of instances where people have, and they've just appeared almost from nowhere. Some good stories in that regard, and it's very important to follow the process right through to completion, and you never know where you might end up. And I guess if you're a buyer, there's not too much to worry about. There's a lot to look at the moment. What's good from a seller's point of view is that buyers are buying, but for the buyers, the one piece of advice certainly from Kay there is get the finance in order, put yourself in a position to be able to offer unconditionally on property. That makes it very easy for sellers to be making a decision on your offer if you're in competition with other people. And clearly, if you're buying at auction, you need to be unconditional anyway, and so it just sets you up for a happy and successful purchase. So good luck with your buying and your selling over the next couple of weeks. Now we're going to go behind the blinds.